My name is Holly Fiore, and this is going to be my persuasive speech. The Salem Press Encyclopedia says that more people will grow up with a pet in the home than their paternal father, which isn't crazy to think about when you think about the divorce rate, but I'm sure everybody in this room and everybody listening has had a pet at some point in their life, whether it be a fish, cow, dog, cat, lizard, anything that is not a human that you've grown up with and has just been your friend. So think about them and how much you love them, and now consider you or anybody else beating that pet to death or abusing it in any way, shooting, kicking, anything. And normal people can't think like that. Why in the world would you do that to something that you love? And it's really sad because it happens on a daily basis all around the world. 2 million pets in the United States a year are abused, and it's really sad to think about when you consider something that you've loved very much in your life. So on average, dogs are the most abused. You often hear about pit bulls being abused, but not as much about greyhounds, who after their racing years can't race anymore. They're often killed because they're not able to perform anymore. It's mostly dogs. 69% of animals that are abused are dogs. 17% are cats, and the rest are other animals, including livestock and birds and such. Birds are often abused when they're left in cages in the corners of living rooms. And parrots and macaws are supposed to be free and in nature, and they're stuck in cages a lot of the time without companionship. So if somebody abused your pet, you would want them to be held accountable, I'm sure. You wouldn't want them to just have community service or just a slap on the wrist. You would want them to serve time. And oftentimes it is only community service that they get stuck with, which is horrible after somebody murders your best friend. So some of the worst states to be an animal is 46 is Wyoming, 47 is Utah, 48 is New Mexico, 49 is Iowa, and the worst state to be an animal in the United States is Kentucky. Now you might think that this is really good because we're not on that worst 5. Well, we're number 43 out of 50, which isn't much better than the rest of those states. We don't have laws here that hold people accountable for what they are doing to animals, which is horribly sad. There's other states, North Carolina, Maine is actually the best state in the country to be an animal because they have the most laws that protect them and regulate and the harshest penalties. So we don't have to just sit back and pretend like there's nothing we can do when there's always something you can do. So if you see something, say something. Everybody can do that. You see an animal being chained up, you can say something to somebody. If you see somebody throw cats out a window, you can say something. You can call the police. You can do anything to save these animals that are being abused. So we should try to be the best state with animal regulations. I know that you would want your pets to live in a place where they have rights and are safe, and so nobody can just come and kick, abuse, light your dog on fire, and they'll be held accountable, which currently is not able to happen in the state. So we need to elect officials who are pro-animal rights and look into their past and see what they've voted on. You don't want somebody who's voted against animal rights because people who abuse animals oftentimes end up hurting people. And those aren't the type of people you want in your states, and you want to stop that from the beginning. Just imagine a world where you don't have to go on Facebook and see something horrible, like a dog that is, I'm sure we've all been on Facebook and seen animals being hit or shot, and it's just not pleasant, and that's not what we want, and that's not a world that you want to live in. Just imagine a place where there's no puppy mills or dog fighting, and everybody is just kind of living on and having a good time, and you don't have to worry about your animals. We also need to have a place where farm animals have rights too. I understand the process of food, but not all the times. the laws are followed, and actually the farm animal laws are not enforced as much as the other ones, which are barely enforced at all. So they're supposed to be killed humanely, and oftentimes they're not. So we need to push for legislation that has harsher penalties, and elect people that will try to push the legislation that has harder penalties. There should be low-cost spade and neutering, so we don't have massive overpopulations of cats and dogs. So what we can do as people is just really know who you're voting for. You need to know who you want to put in office and who's going to fight for the same things you are. We want all of our animals and friends to have rights. Just research what animal rights laws they've already passed. Attend rallies, protect your animals and animals in your neighborhood, and most importantly, if you see something, say something. Thank you.